Hey guys, Zomfox here, and the 2025 NFL preseason is here, meaning that we get to finally see some of these UFL players play in NFL games. Yes, there are preseason games, a lot of guys in the roster play, and how much does it matter? Depends on the team, how much they play. But there was a lot of stand-up performances, really more than even like last year's week 1 of the preseason, and we're only going to be talking about 5 of them. There were more than 5. There were a couple defenders that I'm not mentioning today that did really solid. Jake Bates hit like a 57-yard field goal. There were a decent amount of players that had some pretty big impacts. We're going to be talking about 5 of them. Now, one of them technically isn't a UFL alumni, depending on how you view the UFL and XFL. I'm still putting him in here. But let's get started with number 1, Sal Cannella. He's the first one to talk about, and he had a really solid day. He ended up finishing the most receiving yards of any player on the Cleveland Browns. Now, this was a game that was essentially Shedeur Sanders. He played a ton during this game, and he was the leading receiver on the team. 32 yards and 3 receptions, both led the team, though one of them was tied. He was solid. There was like one penalty called on him, but he was also great blocking, of course, as James Larson posted about a touchdown run the Browns had. He had a great block. He's the one at the very top of your screen that ended up making a huge block, which helped allow for the touchdown. He played a really good game. He's one of the best performing players on the Cleveland Browns. And considering this team, how they're a really questionable team, right? They got a ton of running backs, a ton of quarterbacks, and Sal having a really good game, it helps his chances of becoming a legit mainstay on that roster, being like that backup or third-string tight end. Having a great game like this is really solid. Again, he didn't have some insane 70-yard game. I mean, we did see a receiver, I think, last year have like 100 yards from the UFL, but he was the leading receiver on a team that did have their rookie quarterback, or one of the rookie quarterbacks, I should say, actually play really well. Shedeur turned a lot of heads in a good way. He played really, really well in this game. And if he gets a good connection with Sal Cannella, as we've seen in the past, historically, right, if you have a great connection with somebody, there's a good chance you're going to want to keep him, right? Think of the MLB with like a catcher-pitcher group or combo. Stuff like this, tight end is supposed to be the safety blanket, most receptions, most yards, great game by Cannella. Now we have Adrian Martinez from the Jets. Still in the Jets, yes, he's not this past season, but he was 2 years ago at the UFL in 2024, the MVP. He's still in the Jets, and he had a preseason game and looked really, really good. Now, he did play in the second half, so he was not playing as the, starter of this game, not one of the, going against second, first stringers, but in what he did play, he looked really good. And this was the best part. He didn't run. He did run technically, he had 2 rushes for 13 yards, but he did it mainly through the air. 11 of 16 for 152 and a touchdown is incredible. That is nearly 10 yards per attempt. Not completion, attempt. That's really solid right there. And the touchdown, no interceptions, really solid game from the air from him, especially compared to the Packers, and Malik Willis didn't do a ton, really no quarterback the Packers did. Jets ended up clobbering them, and yes, they only put like 2 touchdowns in the second half. Didn't really need to do much, but the fact is Martinez came in and did really well. A good thing for him is the fact that he was brought back, that he's still on the team. Of course, there was a whole Jordan Travis thing where he ended up retiring from his injury. He was the guy that was really supposed to be kind of where Martinez is now, but instead, Martinez is here. Now, yes, they have Fields and, other guys, but if Martinez plays like this, he can stick around at being at least a practice squad guy, which we've talked about in the past. You get a lot of money being a practice squad guy, even compared to the UFL. So if he sticks around as a practice squad guy or potential, QB3, emergency QB, you'll take that. So for him, this is a really solid game from him. Again, seeing him back with the Jets and seeing him get more action is great to see. Hopefully he gets, to play against starters or not starters, but second stringers next week. We'll see, but overall, great game by him. Now we have another Jet in Harrison Mevis. Yes, the thicker kicker is on the Jets as well, and he had a great preseason debut. Now, Nick Folk, it's a pretty big name kicker. Exactly what the deal is with that, we'll see. But in terms of Mevis himself, he went 3 of 3 on field goals. Now, he didn't kick any true long ones. His longest was a 39-yard field goal. But he did make it, and he made back-to-back extra points as well, making 5 of 5 total kicks. That's really good. Right, I mean, he scored over a third of the team's points. When it comes to being a kicker, you just want to be able to prove that you can make the field goals, right? Especially in pressure moments. We saw with Jake Bates last year. He kicked like the game winner in a preseason game, and he was just really good. Kicking is one of those that really does translate. It's just a matter, are you kicking the field goals, right? When you go to the next level, are you continuing to do it? Because a lot of it is a mental game when it comes to kicking. There's only so much of a difference in terms of like the overall pass rush and blocking. When it comes to kickers, just making the kicks. It's as simple as that. He's making the kicks. He continued to make them in his preseason debut. If he keeps it up, even if he doesn't, become the roster guy for the Jets, he will get picked up somewhere else. We see every single year. I mean, we saw John Parker Romo last year end up playing a few games with the Vikings that parlayed him to getting signed with the Patriots later on in the season. This could easily happen as well. When you're a kicker, You just want to prove that you can make field goals at any level that you're playing. He was one of the better kickers in the UFL this past season. The UFL, USFL, XFL have proven to be great development places for kickers. Brandon Aubrey, JPR, Jake Bates. Mavis is trying to be the next one. Really solid game from him. Now, the fourth one is Jacob Sailors. Now, Sailors is on the Lions. Yes, technically the Lions played the Hall of Fame game, which is kind of week one, kind of isn't. Didn't really want to talk about that one, but in terms of this game, he got a decent amount of action. He played in the second half. He ended up having 9 carries for 35 yards. Isn't the greatest stat line, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie that it's the greatest of all time, but it is solid. It is almost 4 yards a carry, which is really what you want to see. You want to be at around 4 yards a carry. Make it where, in theory, if you go back-to-back runs, you can get your team to a 3rd and 2. That's what you want to see. Receiving-wise, he did also have 2 receptions for 14 yards, and he only had 2 targets, meaning that he did catch both of his targets. So there's no issue of was there a bad pass, did he drop a pass, what the deal is. He caught both the balls that were thrown to him. And getting the 2 receptions, 14 yards, he ended up playing solid. He didn't play incredible, but he had a very solid game overall, and he was the leading rusher for the Lions. Yes, he had the most carries, but not counting quarterbacks, which obviously have inflated yards per attempt, he was the best. Craig Reynolds and Jabari Small both had less than 3 yards a carry. So him having over 3.5 and having just under 4, really solid number for Sailors. Sailors, of course, was incredible back-to-back seasons. Even though this past season he wasn't as good as 2024, he still was the best running back in the league. And so if he can continue to play like that in the NFL preseason like he is now, he just has to be better than the other guys. Because remember, a lot of preseason is about 2 things. It's about being better than somebody else and somebody being worse than you. Think about the Cincinnati Bengals this past week. As you all know, I'm a Cincinnati Bearcats fan, Desmond Ridder fan. Ridder's overall stock with the Bengals went up, not necessarily because he played well, but because Jake Browning played so bad in the preseason game. And so if you just have something like that happen, again, in this instance, you have 2 running backs ahead of you that both went for less than 3 yards a carry, whereas when you came in against competition, you did 3.9. Maybe you get better action next week. Maybe you play higher string guys. And if you continue what you're doing, you make a roster spot. So that was Sailors. And last, we're going to talk about Maurice Alexander Jr., the famous Philadelphia star that has been in the NFL for a while now. He's been one of the more successful guys in regards to sticking around. He was with the Lions for a couple of years and now is with the Bears. And in this preseason game, he did score a touchdown on 4th and goal for the first touchdown of the day for the Chicago Bears. Now, he did also have 3 other receptions to get him to 19 yards in total. Now, I do believe later in the game there was an illegal shift penalty that he got called on, which did negate a touchdown, so took a decent hit there, but he did play a lot of this game in the second quarter and on. And the fact is, 4 receptions was tied with one guy in the Dolphins for the most receptions on the day in total. Now, yes, 19 yards, not the greatest stat line, in terms of overall yardage. But 4 receptions and scoring a touchdown, especially the first touchdown of the game for them, game they would go on to tie 24-24, is still pretty solid. And overall, it's a good performance. Not the greatest, not the most insane, but it's a very solid one. And it definitely needed to be talked about because of the fact that it was a touchdown. And like I said, this isn't just everybody. I mean, there were other guys that I could have mentioned. There was like a defender in I believe it was the 49ers game that did really well in overall pass rushing, was able to force an interception by forcing pressure. You had another couple of defenders that played really well. Again, this week one saw a lot of action, and we saw a few guys get signed. I mean, like Deion Jackson just signed. So in week 2, we should be seeing even more overall. But overall, that'll do it. This has been Zom Fox. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you're notified when I upload any videos. Again, I'm planning to do at least 1 UFL players in the NFL every week like I did last year. Do a stream every couple of weeks with live stuff. And speaking of streams, I will be streaming the Fantasy Football League Draft, which is coming on Tuesday this week. So in 2 days, or technically tomorrow, I should say, the 12th. So make sure you're around for that if you're part of the league. That'll be a really fun stream. Think about becoming a community member. You get 1 exclusive video a month, except this month you're actually getting 2. I already posted one about my trip to SummerSlam, and there'll be one other one. You get access to team emojis and comments and live chats and other benefits. And as always, guys, have a great night.